I'm Harrison Graham. Here's what we got cooking up on 4 Verts today. The latest NFL player rumors, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, a couple of other big-name players to discuss as well. Also, NFL rule changes being implemented. We have a Tush Push update, lots to get to there, so stay tuned for that. Let's start with Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to sign with the Steelers soon? He was seen on social media, some clips and photos emerged from a throwing session he had with new Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf, which you could see on your screen right here. A couple of different ones as they got after it. And to be honest, I'm just kind of tired of the story. I'm not trying to shit on Aaron Rodgers or anything like that, but he's 41 years old. Why is he holding the news cycle hostage? Like, just sign or retire. I mean, I'm kind of tired of talking about it. He doesn't have any other options. There seems to be this, I guess, inkling of fake hope that the Vikings could change their mind. But, like, what's the holdup? You either want to sign there. The Steelers said the meeting went great. Like, honestly, part of me is like, Pittsburgh, you should be a little better than this, but they don't have great options either. So just sign. I expect him to. Seems like all signs point toward it. So just do it already. I don't really understand what he's waiting on, but I think that happens sooner rather than later, and I hope it does because I'm tired of speculating where Aaron Rodgers could end up. I said in February he was going to sign with the Steelers. Seems to be that's still the likelihood today, but it has not happened yet. Okay, a couple of players who could be in line for contract extensions. Let's start with Cowboys edge rusher Micah Parsons. What is the latest there? Jerry Jones, in typical Jerry fashion, said that an extension is not urgent, and then he threw out this weird quote, would rather pay more and get it right. And, like, I just have so many problems with that. I don't mind that philosophy in certain cases, which one of those includes one we'll get to in just a second. But this is why Dallas always pays top dollar. They did it with Dak. They did it with CD at the time. I guess it was a tick less than Jetta, but it was damn close. And now they're probably going to end up doing it with Micah. Like, Micah is likely going to make more than what Myles Garrett got. And if they just did this, hell, a year ago when he was extension eligible, you would have saved yourself a ton of money down the road. And the reason you do that is in cases like this. You knew after one season Micah Parsons was that guy, right? Like, you can nitpick, oh, he does a podcast, you can do this. He is objectively one of the best people in the world at what he does, right? He is a top 5 person on this planet that gets after the opposing quarterback. When you have that at any position, my philosophy, pay that player as soon as possible because those are no doubt guys, especially at 25 years old. If he's 31, okay, like, we can have a discussion if you want to give him that third contract. But, like, to me, when you have that no doubt about it player, whether it's a quarterback, a receiver, an edge, to me, it's obvious. Like, that's why with the Bengals, I was kind of critical. Like, Jamar Chase, that's an easy one. How much you want, Jamar? We'll get it done. T. Higgins, we like you, but, like, to me, I would have rather traded him, paid Trey Hendrickson, and used those finances elsewhere. But we'll see what happens with Hendrickson. But this is why Dallas gets caught with their pants down because they think that they run on their own schedule. And sure, I guess they do in a sense, but you're not helping yourself out from a roster construction standpoint. So I just think as time goes on, as Jerry gets older, they're just getting lapped by the premium teams in this league, and this is the latest example of that. Now, to Jerry's quote of, I'd rather pay more and get it right, I actually think that logic applies perfectly for a player like Brock Purdy, who's clearly a starting quarterback, clearly a good player in this league, a player who at times has been elite, but last year took a step back and obviously has physical limitations at the quarterback position. He's not a top 5 or, debatable top 10 at his position. Certainly not top 5. So that's a different story. Jed York saying today, the Niners owner, that he doesn't think they're far apart. When he's ready, we're ready. This is trickier because I think we've seen recent examples of the trap you don't want to fall into if you're San Francisco, which we'll talk about those examples in a minute. It would be one thing if Brock Purdy, who had 2 really good years to start his career, and then last year faced some adversity with some injuries around him, if he's still elevated, right? If he played at the same level that he did his first 2 years, despite Brandon Ayuk going down, despite Deebo Samuel seemingly losing a step, despite offensive line issues and Christian McCaffrey. But instead, when those premium players around him went down, his play dipped, which I think is to be expected to an extent, but I think it also points out, yeah, like we like this player, but when things around him aren't perfect, he's a good player, not a great player, right? Like, this isn't Josh Allen dragging Khalil Shakir and the boys to the AFC Championship game. I'm not giving Brock Purdy $50+ million. I'm giving Micah Parsons a borderline blank check as soon as he's extension eligible, because I know a year later he's still going to be that same elite guy, which is where Dallas finds themselves now. If they did it a year ago, even made him the highest paid a year ago, well, right now it wouldn't look nearly as bad because that would have ended up being like $31 million per year. Now it's going to be like $41. Well, Brock Purdy, him and his agent, and rightfully so, I would imagine, look at the Tua Tagovailoa contract and say, that's our floor. I've been as productive, if not more than Tua, and I've taken this team to multiple NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl. But if you're the San Francisco 49ers, I'm not playing ball like that. Like, one of these teams has to draw a line in the sand. I don't know if it's the Niners, seems like a perfect opportunity, or if it's someone else whose quarterback could be extension eligible soon. Just because the Dolphins with Tua and the Jags with Trevor panicked and overspent on B-level quarterbacks, hell, even C-plus level if you factor in the injuries with Tua and Trevor's last couple of years, does not mean the Niners should. I think Brock Purdy is up there with Tua. He's certainly been better than Trevor Lawrence, but that doesn't mean the Niners should be bent over a barrel and pay him. Like, these teams that keep paying B-level quarterbacks A-level money, you're just not going to win. Not at the highest level, because those level quarterbacks need at least some premium talent around them. You pay Brock Purdy $55 million per year, a lot of these toys go away. That's just the reality of the situation. Or the defense slips. Like, maybe you keep the pieces around him, but this defense that before last year, which has been awesome, yeah, they're now giving up 26 points per game, not 20 points per game. So if I'm San Francisco, I'm offering him like $40 million per year, $100 million guaranteed on a 3 or 4 year deal. Take it or leave it. Like, I maybe that's not fair, but one of these teams has got to just stop this madness. Like, stop paying the 12th best quarterback, borderline resetting the market money. It's insanity. It makes no sense trying to build your roster that way whatsoever. All right, we're going to get to some NFL rule changes things here in just a moment. Appreciate you guys so much. We're getting closer and closer to 9,000 subscribers. If you want free and daily NFL content, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, spread the word, tell a friend, and we'll continue to pump out daily videos. Okay, let's talk a little tush push. The vote has been tabled for now. It could be revisited in May at the next time owners get together. So no ban for now. The reports that leaked after that was reported was that it was half and half. Half the league was ready to vote for banishment, which is close-ish, but not that close. You got to get to 24 owners to vote on something to make a change. They were 2/3 of the way to that, but only half the league was on board. So I think tabling it's probably the right call. I think Rossini could be onto something here. She says the tabling of the tush push opens the rule up to potentially have its language tweaked. So while the play itself might not be banned, it could still be look different moving forward. Proponents of the play, including the Eagles, don't look at this result as a win. I think it's one of these things like the conversations will continue. This is not the end of this discussion. To her point, maybe there's some kind of thing they change in the language of the play where you could still do influence QB sneak, but you can no longer do this or you can no longer do that. Again, I don't know what that looks like, but I guarantee you this is not the end of this. I would imagine there's no change for this season, but this will be revisited in the future. I can promise you that. What side of the coin are you on? Should the tush push be banned? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Again, I'd probably vote against a ban, but I'm also in the camp of if it were to get banned, I'm not losing sleep over it because I don't find the play entertaining, aesthetically pleasing whatsoever. I get it if you're an Eagles fan. If I was an Eagles fan, I'd be advocating to keep it no matter what because it's been a really effective play. But as a general consumer of football, I don't love it, but I'm not going to vote it out of the game either. So that's kind of been my stance on it. Okay, let's kind of rapid fire through some rule changes that have been implemented. Breer had this report that the Steelers' proposal to allow for Zoom calls during the legal tampering period of free agency has been passed. So now all teams, remember those first 2 days of free agency are legal tampering. You can now face-to-face get on Zoom with free agents to be. Which before you could only talk to agents who then communicate to the players, vice versa. An example of how this would have impacted previous free agencies is the Falcons got hit with that tampering charge with Kirk Cousins because they talked to him for about an hour. Now that would be allowed. So if I'm Atlanta, that they're supposed to lose a draft pick this year, I'm trying to get it back. I'd be appealing the league pretty hard on that to try and get that back. So that'll be interesting to see how that impacts free agency. Players might be more deliberate on where they want to go, get a feel for that environment before just taking top dollar. Schefter had this one, and so did everybody else. The kickoff proposal was separated into 2 votes. One that passed, one was tabled. The football now moves to the 35 after a touchback. That has passed, so now all touchbacks that land in the end zone at least will result in a touchback. Remember last year, if it lands in the landing zone, then rolls into the end zone, that's the 20-yard line. So I think you'll see some teams strategically try to kick those low liners into the landing zone and make it trickier on the receiving team. So that'll be interesting. I would expect a lot more returns. And then the onside kick discussion has been tabled. That's the second part of that from Shefty. Kevin Seifert says, with this touchback spot change, the NFL has been projecting an increase rate from 33% last season, which is a good increase, to 60 to 70% kickoff return rate this upcoming year. There are some downstream aspects that could come into play, field position, scoring, game management, when you add that many plays. Yeah, I mean, just for example, say you take a 3-point or less lead with, 25 seconds left. I think before, even just at the 30 last year, certainly when it was the 25, you're booming that out of the end zone. You're forcing your opponent to get to your 40, 45 to have at least an outside shot at a field goal. You're forcing them to drive that 2, 3, 4 plays. Now, I think you got to kick that into play because if you're at your own 35, you can get into field goal range in 2 plays pretty easily. 15-yard play to midfield, and you need another 8, 10, 12 yards depending on the strength of your kicker's leg. So I think that's going to make end of games pretty fascinating and pretty fun to consume. Also, the formation of the kickoff return can be tweaked. You can now line up in a 6-3-2 formation, which last year, if you remember, 9 guys were kind of on that front line, and then you had your 2 returners back. So I guess now you could go 6-3-2. I don't know the spacing between the 3 lines of players. I would imagine it's 5 yards in between each, maybe 10. I'm not sure, but that is that. And then this one as well, which I didn't even know this was up. The Texans were part of a joint proposal to allow K-balls, kicking footballs, to prepare them before game day. The rules approved. I got to be honest, I don't even know what that looks like. Maybe kickers like their the balls they kick no diddy a certain way. I don't know. Do they like them more rough, more slick? I'm not sure. So I don't even know what that looks like, but I guess that was proposed and passed. Rap Sheet had this one too. A couple rule changes that have passed. NFL will now allow both teams, this is a big one, to possess the ball in overtime, but still just a 10-minute overtime. So both teams get a shot now, but if at the end of one overtime, one team has the lead, then the game's over. So that's certainly interesting. Expanded replay assist has passed as well. Few things that could come into play. If a face mask is called, then quick review upstairs, it wasn't a face mask, that can be overturned. Defenseless receiver, that's another one. There's a couple of others. The one thing I don't like about it is, remember last year the Sam Darnold clear face mask against the Rams that wasn't called? You can't now add a flag. And, to me, that's, the whole point. If the whole world watching sees that Darnold's face mask is ripped around, but they didn't call it on the field because they didn't see it for whatever reason, shouldn't the guy be able to radio down and be like, hey, yeah, that was a clear face mask? But in this case, you can only take away flags. You can't add one. So I think that's kind of an incomplete expansion of the rule, in my opinion. And then you've got this as well. The NFL announced that Sony's Hawkeye technology will be used next season to electronically measure first downs. But don't worry, The chain crew, which is usually like 65-year-olds, is remaining on the sideline as backup, but a new era officially underway. And that'll be fascinating. I mean, we've been calling for this for years. I'm sure there will be controversy at some point about some kind of measurement and the technology and all that. But let's eliminate as much human error as possible. That is what I am in favor of. All right, what is your favorite new rule? I think the kickoff to me. I want more kickoff returns. I think it makes the strategy at end of games and end of halves fascinating. I'm guessing each team will have like a cutoff time with the clock. If it's over a certain amount of seconds, kick a touchback. If it's or kick it in play. If it's under a certain amount of seconds, just kick a touchback, and we'll take our chances that way. But certainly makes for an interesting end of game scenarios for these teams. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of For Verts. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We got a new mock draft coming up on the channel sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you soon.